Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. So I originally wanted to jump on here and just share a little story that I had, and uh, it's basically about this little soul spirit that was meant to be born, and it was actually I was working in a clinic, right, doing a health tech position, and while I was there, I had a lot of interesting experiences, to say the least. And one of them was this little spirit baby that was coming in to be born. And it was a clinic for eating disorders and alcohol, drug abuse, right? So I was the mental health tech there. And so I would help because I have a degree in nutrition. So I would help out with the both parts, because I was also going for my counseling degree. So I don't know, it was so interesting that, I had all these experiences there, which kind of opened my eyes to certain things in my own awareness, right? Because before my awakening, I was totally like under a rock. No lie. Like, I mean, I've had experiences, of like people have passed over, spirits, things like that. Um, but this just kind of started, evolving from there, all these different experiences. So the baby spirit, I was actually, um, halfway through the day was like lunchtime, I think it was, or it was, no, it was afternoon snack. So all the intakes had already been taken in. And so we were in the cafeteria having late snack for the end of the day. We were sitting at the table, and all of a sudden I was like, baby powder. I smell baby powder. Who's wearing baby powder? And I was trying to figure out who, had that on, because they weren't allowed to have scents, things like that. Um, so I was trying to figure out who it was. I'm like, yeah, it's not any of them. And so afterwards, it was like this energy just went across me like this little wind, and I'm like, where did that wind come from? And it was almost like this spirit just went right by me, right? And I didn't really realize it was, and I felt it was like a baby, right? And so I was like, okay, let me go check on this. So after snack, I went out into the nurses station, and I was like, did anybody else get taken in today? And they were like, yeah, we had a late enrollments, right, into this facility. And I was like, she was telling me about it, and they were like, they're pregnant. And I was like, oh, so it's a baby. That's the baby. So, and it was really interesting because when I had finally gotten to talk to the patient, they were saying how they decided to check themselves in because they were pregnant. They were going to get abortion, but on their way to get the abortion at the clinic, they saw an angel that came before them and told them they have to have the baby because that baby was meant to be, right? The baby needed to be born, and it needed to be born through her. So she needed to clean it up and not, not have the abortion. And so that's why she checked herself in. But it was really interesting to have that. A lot of times we are aware of being a medium. We have the experience of people who've passed over after they've gone, right? But a lot of people don't have the experience of the baby spirit coming in. And, being that I got to talk to her about the situation, and her saying, oh, an angel came before her to tell her that she needed to have this baby. And so the baby spirit wanted me to reinforce that she needed to have the baby. And so in our discussion, of course, she was doing well, and she was, by the time she was out of there, she was fine. Whatever happened after, I don't know, but it was really interesting to have that experience, to have the little baby spirits that was coming in, to acknowledge that they were coming, they needed to be. So that was really interesting. So I wanted to get out here and share that. I'm going to be sharing other little stories that I've had, because I've had a lot of experiences, and I think it would be um, good to share them, because a lot of things we don't talk about. And because we hush them and we deem them bad or not good, and we shouldn't talk about these things, but we really should. And then mainstream, of course, they do all their integration through putting it out, and then as far as um, it's not really brainwashing, but it's a way of integrating. Let's put it that way. It's integrating. They start putting things out, and then all of a sudden it becomes like the mainstream norm, right? So little by little, you know, as we're coming out of the unconsciousness, the darkness, the shadows, um, we're awakening to this new space where we should be and free to discuss and talk about things, right? And so the more that we share things, we start talking about them and getting them out into mainstream, the more comfortable it's like freeing, right? Because when we keep all these things in hidden in the shadow and this is bad and judge it, we're in the darkness. So to bring light, on certain things is very helpful, because more than none, we have all had experiences that we don't talk about because it's not been accepted, right? And as you can see, a lot of things in the world are now being more widely talked about, and becoming accepted, across the board. So, when we put these things out, more people will talk about them. So when we keep them hidden, other people will, keep them hidden too, because they don't want to talk about it. They out of fear. So when we start talking about things, we're actually liberating ourselves from our experiences that we keep hidden in the darkness in the closet, and we bring them out. And so, a lot of times, when I was growing up, it wasn't accepted. It wasn't talked about. You don't do this, you don't do that, and that has been in the past passed down, right? For a lot of people, because we don't talk about, mediumship and, these kinds of things, but we should start talking about them, bringing them out, like, because it exists, it's there, it exists. And then when it exists, we can coexist with it, right? And to not be in fear in the shadows, because then that's where all the fear comes up. And then we create these illusions and delusions that, there's an evil one, and then there's, blah, blah, blah. And then we have those experiences. So the wind, when we're able to fully, it's part of healing, when we can express ourselves about things and bring things out into the awareness, of our experiences, whether it be spiritual, whatever it is that we have, or who we are, parts of us, who we are, it's just the acceptance of who we are, because we are, as they say, spiritual beings having a human experience, not a human having spiritual experiences. We are the opposites of whatever is, right? So it's experience of being here, having the human experience, because the human experience is only temporary. And that's where we get to have the experiences, because we don't when we're not, because we're already it when we are, back home, right? We're just being. So here's now the time to have the experiences and to share our experiences with others. So it's like, write a book, teach, do some classes, whatever it is that is your experience. Share your story, share your experience, because it helps others. And, so that's why I was like, okay, I'm going to start sharing some of these stories and experiences that I've had, because not only do I think they're really cool experiences, but it has helped broaden my perspective that there's more than just this lower form. And it's like we just go to school, work, and have, our human life. There's more beyond it. So it brings that awareness, and we need to start accepting that, right? And so I'm going to start sharing those. So that's one. I've had a lot of experiences there, so I'm going to do different videos on those. So, but that's the baby in the addiction center story. But alrighty, happy journeys.